much. Today I really want to appreciate the people behind the camera. Thank you so much. These people are doing a great job, and if you're out there and you love what you see, talk to me nicely. Anyway, thank you so much, all of you who are out there watching. It's yet another opportunity the Lord has given us to share. I don't take these moments for granted. Personally, they are blessing me every day. And you being right there, you passing by this channel, you clicking and, liking and stopping by and watching and viewing, you're my customers, and I appreciate you for that. Thank you for being with me. God richly bless you. Encourage someone to also tap in and be a part of this program. My name is Joy, and you are welcome. If you're here for the very first time, you are most welcome. Thank you for choosing. Yes, we are still under service mentality. How do you perceive service? How do you think about what you're doing? Because remember, service is work, and we are working for people. Therefore, service is people. Don't forget that at any time. And we are continuing with what? Customer care. And these are tips that are going to help you to have excellency as you're working with people, to have a connection as you relate with people, to have a permanent relationship with someone probably you just met at your shop, at that gate, at that office, at that church, in the family. It is such a great opportunity when you extend your care beyond just the usual and you go extraordinary. That you put in that is extraordinary is what we call excellency, and it's what we call customer care. So we are continuing with our subtopic. Remember, we've done it, I think this is the third one. We started by know your customer in general, and I shared about God knowing us and personalizing us, meaning it's such a value when you know me in detail. And then I gave you an example in the Bible that is from the Apostle Paul, the man who challenges me with the way he works in his ministry, because the entire New Testament that is writing is not just writing letters. Like I told you last time, he is connecting with people. Corinthians, Thessalonians, Galatians, Ephesians, name it. Wow. Connection with people and knowing them, and then knowing which package, which message, how to bring out the message, and how it is going to impact them. Now today, in a special way, I want us to relate to who? Jesus Christ. Probably some of you don't believe in Jesus Christ, and I'm here to share about that. But for me, it is such an important example, because I believe in Jesus, and I know that you need him wherever you are. Let me tell you, child of God, in customer care, Jesus gave us a clear example on how to deal with people, on how to handle people, on how to relate with people. And I want to share that with you today. So, Jesus knows his customers up to today, and he relates with us personally, individually, and in detail. He knows your needs. He knows what you want. He knows how you feel. He knows. He walked the way you are walking. So he is in a better position to serve you. That is why most of us, we cry to him. We fall under him. We relate with him, because he knows us and he is willing to carry this load with us and to walk the journey with us. Okay, so I want us to also emulate and copy some of these examples from him. It doesn't matter what you're doing, really. If you pay attention to what I'm going to share today, it is going to bless your heart. Amen. So I looked at the man Jesus, and I looked at him in detail. Number one, he had the closest, whom we somehow all of us know, the 12. He related with them. Those were his immediate customers. For me, I want to relate to it like that, because we are talking about customers, we are talking about serving, we are talking about ministry, people, and whatever you're doing. Okay, so he has these customers who are very close to him, and these were the 12. I'll not break them all down today, but if you can, go and look through the 12 and you see. Number one, the man Jesus was able to connect with them. They had different characters. Hey, different characters. And he connected with them. It took him time to sit down and learn these people. It took him an extra mile to actually know the people he is working with. And when you see the way he handled them with a background after knowing each one of them. We see that he knew who to handle cash, he knew who should handle the church, he knew who should handle his maybe secrets and so forth. I'll share with you in detail about this. For instance, Jesus knew that Judas Iscariot was very good with handling the money. Much as he had his other weaknesses at the end of betraying him, but from the beginning, when the ministry was beginning, he knew that even if Peter was such a faithful man, he was not good at handling money. It is important when you know the people that God has assigned you to work with and to work for. So you will know their strength and you'll know how to allocate them with what to do. That is the importance of knowing people in detail, you know. So Jesus had someone else in his camp. Among the 12, he also had this man called John. And the Bible tells us that John is one of the beloved disciples. For me, I look at him like maybe one of the favorite disciples. He maybe the best friend of the bestie of Jesus, as we would like to relate it anyway. But guess what? Jesus knew that John, much as he was so good with being such a close friend to him, he was not so good with handling finances. He was not so good with handling the people. How do we know that? Because at the end, he gives the responsibility of the church, of the sheep, of the lamb, to who? To Peter. John knew lots about Jesus, to the extent that when they were at the table, when Jesus was telling them that, you know, one of you is going to betray me, they all did not know who it was, okay? And the scriptures say that, you know, Peter and these other disciples turned to John, and they wanted to find out from John, because they knew that, I think, Jesus being very close to John, he could have told John the secret, you know. So probably they turned and said, John, do you know who it is, you know? Because they also knew that when it comes to, you know, secrets and certain details, Jesus and John, those two, they have their own things. Jesus knew that John was very good at keeping the secrets, but he was not very good at a certain point. He could not trust him even with the secret of Judas Iscariot, much as John had kept certain things. But Jesus, because he knew the depth of how much John could handle, you know, he could not entrust him with Judas's secret, that is the one going to betray him. Imagine if probably he had told these guys about that earlier. I look at people like Peter. Hey, they would have grabbed Judas Iscariot at the table and torn him apart before the mission was complete. Because you see that very clearly that, you know, Peter grabbed the guy who came to arrest Jesus and cut off the ear. Now imagine if he had known that Judas Iscariot is actually the betrayer, or he's going to do this deal. And yet, get to know this, Peter had become a celebrity at that point. Peter had been walking on water. Peter was known, the man who walks with Jesus, you know, and Peter had left everything. And at some point he even said, Master, how about us who have left everything? What are we going to get? So imagine, and now, after he's having this great experience with the master and then the betrayer, Jesus could not give the secret to his disciples, much as he had lived with them. Why? He had known them. When you know people in detail, you're able to know what to talk about, where to talk about it, who to tell, and it will help you as you minister, as you serve, as you relate with people. It is very important to know people's strengths and to know people's weaknesses. That is why we are here to learn about know your customer, know the people, know your family, know your children. Sit down with those children. Those are your first customers, you parent. Sit down with those children and know them in detail. Ask them about something and they'll all give different answers, and you know how to relate with them. Yes, they are all your children. They could be same mother, same father, but my friend, they are different, and the way you handle them must therefore be different. I've learned that over time. I had to sit down and learn my children. God has blessed me with children, but these children are completely different. One is actually very strong in her leadership. Another one is very strong at doing things from the back. But me as a parent, I always wanted the firstborn to be at the front. You must be the one doing this. No, you need to know them. That is not their speed. So you will give assignments according to the strength of someone, and it will not frustrate you in the process. When you know people, it's easy to get what you expect from them. When you don't know me, you'll give me a plate that I cannot handle, and at the end of the day, you will fire me. At the end of the day, you will scold me. At the end of the day, you will think I'm incompetent. But no, you just did not know that I was not able to handle that. You just did not know that that's not my lane. You just did not know that that probably was too big for me, you know. Or you missed me because you did not know I could do that, you see. So knowing people will help you relate with them better, work with them better, serve them better, deal with them better, understand them better, and therefore have the best customer care that you desire in your ministry, in your home, in your life, in your workplace, in that organization. Get to know people. When you look at Jesus still, he went ahead. He said to Peter, Peter, do you love me? Take care of my sheep. Love my sheep. Take care of my lamb, you know. And do you know why? Peter was, to me, was a sanguine. Peter is someone who was open-minded. He would answer any question. He would say anything that comes to him. He was quick in his talk all the time. Whenever Jesus asked a question, Peter is number one to answer. Who do you think people call me? He knew it. And at some point, Jesus had to rebuke him because he was too much. Jesus told him, come on, you're too much. Satan, get behind me. You see that? But you know what? Despite that, Jesus knew that Peter had the heart for people. Peter was a great pastor. Peter was great with the flock, you know. Jesus had someone also in his camp. He had Dr. Luke. He's one of the disciples, Dr. Luke. And he's a doctor by profession. He's not just a doctor. He studied these things. He was a doctor by profession. But imagine, with all his books, with all his knowledge, with all his maybe articulation and eloquency, he was not the man behind the church. Jesus said, you, Peter, I will build my church on you and you'll be a rock. Come on now. Why? Because Jesus got to know each disciple and knew what they can do. He knew that Dr. Luke, with all his books, he could not handle the flock. He was too educated. He would just tell them, you know, you didn't study, maybe, I can imagine. So he allocated the assignments depending on what he knew, because he invested time in sitting down, in teaching them, in living with them, in working with them, in eating with them, and he knew their character. It is that important. When you are assigned to people, you better sit down, eat with them, fellowship with them, dine with them, walk with them, love them, live a life with them, find out in detail. Then you will be able to assign them with the right assignment. You'll be able to expect certain things from them or not to expect certain things from them. I want to close this session by sharing a very important scripture with you guys today. It is in Proverbs chapter 27, verse 23, and it says, "Be diligent to know the state of your flock and look well to your herds." Praise the Lord. Be diligent to know the state of your flock. Being diligent means you're going to be consistent. You're going to do it not just once. You're going to work at it. It is going to be part of you. You're going to put effort there to know the state of your people, to know the state of your employees, to know the state of your family members, to know the state of the people that God has assigned you to. You're going to be diligent at it. And to know the state of people means to know them in detail. You better know the girl who is working in your house. How much do you know about her? How much do you know about her? Apart from the card she filled in when she was coming in, you know, apart from you knowing you picked her from Masaka or you picked her from Luero, or you don't, sit down and know. When I learned these lessons, I started to change my lifestyle, and this has totally changed the way I connect with people. My story comes here. At some point, I had a lady who was working at her home, helping us with work, yeah? And every time towards the end of the month or at a certain period, she would be so rude. She would be so terrible. She would be nervous. She would do everything in the wrong way, you know? And until one time, I sat with her and asked her, "What's the matter?" You know? And then she opened up and said, "You know, when I'm in my periods, for us ladies, you know, when I'm in that time, I lose everything. I get uncontrolled. Things are not okay with me. I feel like I don't want to do anything, you know." And when I learned that, I told her, now from this time on, whenever that time comes, I'm giving you an off day. Off, like it's work off for you. I understood. I got to know her in detail, and it helped us work together. At one point, I had another one. And this one, for her, she was very rude to children. And you know, sometimes we are thinking, oh, I think this girl doesn't want to work. No, find out. Know the state of your flock, child of God. God brings people to us to ensure that we know them and help them. Much as you think she has come in to help you, you are also there to help them. You're serving. We are serving each other at the end of that day. And we are going to give account to these people that God has brought for us to take care of at some point. So I sat down with this lady and I asked her, "What is the challenge? How come, you know, sometimes you look like you don't like children around you?" And she told me, and I told her, "Do you have children?" She said yes. She had one child. And she told me, "I have one child. She's called Angel." And the way she was saying it, she was actually very bitter, even when she was telling me about her child. "Yes, I have a child. She's called Angel." I said, "Okay. How old is she?" She told me, "She's 2 years. Kaine myaka ebiri." And I'm like, "Okay. She has a nice name. I don't want to know. Jajawe Yamani." And I'm like, "Hey, wait a minute. You're the mother. You don't want to know." And she told me, yeah. And then finally she broke down and told me her story. To cut the long story short, she told me how she had acquired this child, and she said she was raped, and she said for her she just doesn't like children because of what happened to her and how she got her child. So it was not that she actually doesn't like children, but because of the situation that she had gone through, and she needed to be counseled, she needed to be prayed for, she needed to be delivered, she needed to be loved, she needed to be taught, and then she would come out of that. So I got to know that. And the customer care that I'm teaching you today, I told you one time that you cannot give what you don't have. I have gone through some of these things. So I had to learn to love her. I had to go to handle her differently. I took her through series of, counseling. I took her through series of prayer. I took her through deliverance. And by the end of it all, I told her, now, I actually want you to bring your child to my house, and we start staying with your child, because this child, I mean, she deserves to be with you as a mother. Hey, she didn't want, but I insisted at some point, and because of the relationship we had built with her, she ended up bringing the child. So she brought this child, but still she would control this child. She would be like, when others are playing, like in the sitting room, her child would be in the bedroom, locked up. You sit there. You don't belong here. You know, it's her who would be doing that to her child. And I kept on telling her, no, leave the child. You know, all these things. But what am I talking about? I'm talking about knowing people and knowing them in detail. It will help you serve them better. It will help you relate with them better. It will help you be their boss better. Some of these things, some people are not working with you quite well because you've not known what they are going through. Come down to their level. Find out what is bothering this person. Find out. It may not be bothering. How come this person is excellent? You also need to know that side. They'll tell you, I went through customer care, lessons. That's why I'm like this. Get to know people. Learn from them or help them. Draw them near to you and learn them. It is a godly principle. It is biblical. It is scripture. Do you want to be famous? Know people. Do you want your ministry to go extra miles? Know people. Do you want you to become a magnet of those customers? Know them. Invest time in knowing people. It is not wasted time. It is very, very profitable. At the end of the day, this girl was actually a Catholic, to end the story anyway. And finally, I never told her, give your life to Christ, you need to get saved. No. The things I did, knowing her in detail, she later opened up and said, by the way, Auntie, me, I'm even a Catholic. And me, I've never given my life to Christ. But today, I want to give my life to Christ. That was, I think, over 2 months or 3 months later, after she had been in our house, and she gave her life to Christ. But you know, it took time for me to know her in detail. Sometimes you just need to calm down and know people. Humble yourself and know people. You'll pray for them better. You'll serve them better. You'll relate with them better. Let me tell you, child of God, Jesus' ministry went to another level. Today we are still talking about it because he related with people. He invested in knowing people. He invested in walking extra miles with people. And that is why he is a big name today. Do you want to get a big name? Know the state of your flock. The flock will get so close to you. The people will get so close to you. It will be difficult for them to leave you because you've been with them and walking with them. Let me crown off by sharing these 3 points with you. 1, a healthy service mentality requires us to know people in detail. I hope you've captured that. Number 2, it is your responsibility to know people. It is your responsibility to find out the state of the people that you are working with. Number 3, knowing and relating with the ones who labor and do hard work is a great strength. Much as you're in a higher position, getting down to the people who are below you is a great strength. Even when you're lower, getting to know the people above you is a great strength. Very important in customer care. Number 4, knowing and relating with the less privileged or the humble people in the society or in your workplace or in your family is a great strength, child of God. Number 6, knowing and relating to the people who are close to you and the people who are distant from you is a great strength, child of God. Knowing and relating with the elders and the veterans and the society at large is a great, great mentality as you serve people. Therefore, knowing people's strengths and weaknesses will help you work with them better, relate with them better, do things better, and at the end of the day, it will look like you are the most excellent customer care representative. At that table where you are, how much have you invested in knowing the people that you are working with and the people you are serving? It is important. It will give you fruit. It will draw people to you. You'll eat from what you don't expect to eat from. Today, there are things I'm earning just by knowing people. Lastly, I came to know, I have friends. I have boda friends. I have special people who drive specials. I have chigari. I have people, you know, I relate with various people. And let me tell you, at one time I needed help to take certain things at a bus, and I did not have a connection. So I remembered, oh, there's a guy who used to bring passion fruits for us. So I called him. I had his number. And I told him, hey, are you still working at the park? And said, no, I left, but I can still connect you with someone who is working at the park to take your things to Mbarara. Can you imagine? That is why it is important for you to know people. Some of you are struggling to get people maybe at your wedding meeting because you also don't know them. You're struggling to get people to come to your funeral. You're complaining, why didn't they come? Do you know them? Have you created a relationship with them? You're complaining, why aren't they supporting me? How much do you know people? It is important to know people because you will serve and relate with them better. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for following. I hope someone has captured something today. Please go through that phone book. Call someone, find out how they are, their state. How are you? Before you complain, you're lost. These days, do you know their state? Do you know what they are going through? Do you know why they come late? Do you know why they are not performing? Find out. It's important. Thank you so much. God bless you. I love you. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.